Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I am AdamMcKola. Hope you guys are all doing well. In this video, we will be looking at Manchester United's strongest 11. Does that feature Anthony and Casemiro? Find out my opinion on that in this video. And also evaluating Manchester United's squad. Do we have enough depth in the squad? Do we have a strong enough squad to be able to challenge on all fronts? It's going to be a long season. We've got a World Cup in the middle of the season, in the winter. So Manchester United are going to need a squad that is capable of challenging on all four fronts. Do we have that? We'll be looking at Manchester United's squad in this video as well. And I want you guys to keep it interactive by getting your thoughts in the comments below as well. Let us know your strongest 11 for Manchester United this season and whether you think we've got enough depth in the team. Before we do get stuck into the video though, I want you guys to do me a little bit of a favor. Get hitting that subscribe button right about now down there. We recently hit 130,000. We want to hit 150,000 before the end of the year, and I can only do that with your help. So get hitting that subscribe button. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm already subscribed, then head over to twitch.tv/AdamMcKola and subscribe over there as well. I'm doing loads of football content, more long form content than I do over here. We're also playing a little bit of poker. We'll be playing Football Manager and FIFA when those new games are released. So come and join us over on Twitch too. But let's get stuck into this video because we've got lots to get stuck into. And let's start at looking at the end of last season. At the end of last season, Manchester United had an abysmal season, which saw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked, replaced by Ralf Rangnick. We knew Ralf Rangnick was a caretaker manager, but Ralf Rangnick came in, and as an experienced director of football, he came in and said, whoa, Manchester United need open heart surgery. These guys need at least 8, 9, maybe even 10 signings to improve this team. And when we looked at Manchester United's squad, I mean, coming into that last season, we thought, we finished second, we signed Sancho, we signed Varane, we signed Ronaldo, we're going to do bits. But as the season progressed, the squad began to expose itself, and it wasn't good enough for Manchester United, what we need to do, and even modern football. Any manager coming in wants to apply modern football tactics. As Ralf Rangnick got to see, it just wasn't up to scratch. So we had to make a lot of changes. We also had a lot of players that knew their futures weren't at the club, whether that was because we had, players that contracts were expiring and they had a free transfer ahead of them, or whether because they just knew they weren't good enough and a move lied ahead. And now we have seen a whole host of players leave Manchester United in this transfer window, which has seen our squad absolutely decimated during this window, and it meant we did need to do loads of business. Like, let's have a look at this list of players that left the club in this transfer window. We start with Andreas Pereira, who joined Fulham. Decent deal for Manchester United. We got some good money out of it, around £10 million. Now, it was our best deal that we'd done all summer in terms of recouping money, interestingly enough. We let Eric Bailly go out on loan to Marseille. We let Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard, Nemanja Matic, Edinson Cavani all leave on freeze, as well as Juan Mata, whose contract expired. All those players left on freeze. So whilst their contract, their wages was off Manchester United's wage bill and we had more wiggle room there, those players left without United receiving a transfer fee. And when you look at the likes of Pogba, Lingard, Matic, Cavani even, Juan Mata, those are players that you could probably demand a decent transfer fee for, and we didn't. Lee Grant also left the club as he retired. And then we saw loan moves for the likes of Alex Telles, Dean Henderson, again going out on loan, Amad Diallo, Hannibal Mabry, also going out on loan, Alvaro Fernandez also went out on loan for Manchester United. And we also saw Tahith Chong join Hannibal Mabry at Birmingham City on a permanent deal. So Manchester United let a whole host of players go. How many players is that I just mentioned? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 players left Manchester United this summer. It meant our squad needed some movement. And at the start of the window, it didn't look like Manchester United were going to make that happen, did it? It just didn't look like Manchester United were in a good position at all. We were chasing for Frankie de Jong. It felt like that move was going to happen. It didn't happen. And then Manchester United realised, hold up, we've got loads of other gaps. We needed a defender. We needed a fullback. We needed more midfielders than Frankie de Jong. We needed attackers. We needed a whole host of players to come in, especially with the number of players that we saw leave Manchester United's squad. So we had to do business, and we brought in players. We brought in Terrell Malacia. We've brought in Christian Eriksen, Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, Anthony, and Martin Dubravka. Now, on the face of it, a decent window. But you look at it, and we'll get into the squad right now, it may be leaving a few holes for Manchester United when you consider the sheer number of players that left and the total that have come in. So let's get stuck into Manchester United's, I'll call it the strongest 11, and then we'll look at what we've got in reserve to that strongest 11. Remember, this 11 isn't going to play every game. There'll be some players that are put as the reserve or the backup option that sometimes I want to be seeing them start over the first option, but this is just for this video's sake. So we'll start with the strongest 11, and then we'll look at Manchester United's backup, and you guys can evaluate whether our squad is actually strong enough or not. So we start off at the back now, obviously because Dean Henderson has left the club. Yes, we've got a couple of backups, and who knows what happens. Maybe Dubravka becomes first choice and surprises us all, but David De Gea is going to be the man in between the sticks, isn't he? He's going to be the first choice goalkeeper. My first choice left back is Tyrell Malacia. Now, I expected the season to start with Luke Shaw being the main man, fighting off a little bit of competition and eventually keeping his spot. But Tyrell Malacia is coming in and he's looking like Patrice Evra reborn. He's showing tenacity, he's showing spirit, he's showing fight, and he's also showing quality, not only in defence but in attack. So I'll put Tyrell Malacia at left back, and I think he's a very good addition to the squad. As is the man I've got next to him at centre-half in Lisandro Martinez. What an addition to the squad. Look, he came in for a lot of money. You know, I wouldn't have expected us to spend as much money on him as we did. But when you look at what he brings, the spirit, you know, the aggression, the fight, and the quality of the defence. There's been a lot of talk about his height, but it doesn't matter. What's that saying? It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And this dog has a lot of fight in him. Lisandro Martinez as well is someone. And I think you could say this about a lot of our signings, Tyrell Malacia, Casemiro, Martinez, Anthony. I think they'll bring the levels up in training. They'll bring the edge up in training. And they really want to play for Manchester United, which makes a difference because we've had a whole host of players that couldn't be asked recently. So seeing Lisandro Martinez come in with that spirit is great to see. Alongside him, not the captain, I'm going with Raphael Varane, our only Rolls Royce of a defender that we've got. A true Rolls Royce. People throw that around too much as well these days. Oh, he's a Rolls Royce of a defender. Raphael Varane actually is. And he'd be the first choice for me at centre-back. Now, we have to manage him. We have to make sure he's fit at all times. But for me, Raphael Varane is our main centre-back. Then at right back, you're going for Diogo Dalot. Now, I'm sure, you know, we're being linked with a whole host of players at right back. I'm sure Erik ten Hag wanted to bring someone in. He doesn't really fancy Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and he's been giving Diogo Dalot an opportunity. In pre-season, Diogo Dalot seemed to thrive and build up a relationship with Jadon Sancho. He started the season off horribly in those Brighton and Brentford games, but he has picked up the form, got an assist against Liverpool, and he's doing okay. I think he'll be the first choice for Manchester United at right back this season. Then let's look at the backup options in those areas. So you look at in goal. Our backup options in goal are Dubravka and Heaton. Now, some may argue we should have kept Dean Henderson, but I don't mind Dubravka coming in as a backup, and Tom Heaton's very experienced. Two goalkeepers that have a high amount of Premier League appearances under their name, and we might not have to call upon them. Now, if De Gea hits rocky form or is injured, maybe I'll listen to the arguments for Dean Henderson, but we're seeing some of the former Dean Henderson at Nottingham Forest as well. And I think what that shows you is the answer doesn't lie in either of them. We need a new goalkeeper in the long term, and hopefully that will come maybe next summer, the summer after. But this, at the moment, where we are with goalkeepers, I'm happy with. Obviously, the backup to Tyrell Malacia is Luke Shaw. The backup to Diogo Dalot is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and we potentially still got Brandon Williams sniffing about as well, looking to get a game. He's injured at the moment, but at fullback, Brandon Williams can cover both positions. We've obviously let Ethan Laird go out on loan. I think he's a huge talent, and hopefully he'll be coming back to fight for a spot next season. But those are our fullback options at the moment. And if we get an injury to Diogo Dalot and the manager doesn't fancy Wan-Bissaka, we've got a problem there. And that is an area that I do worry about. Malacia and Shaw I worry less about, because I feel like whilst Luke Shaw is frustrating at times and he doesn't perform as we know he can do at times, he's still a decent level of a backup. Wan-Bissaka, whilst he's defensively very good at times, I don't think he can turn Erik ten Hag around. I don't think he has the football ability on the ball to be able to do that. So I do worry about that right-back position. And it's a shame we didn't manage to bring somebody in. At centre-back, our backups to Martinez and Varane, you're looking at Maguire, you're looking at Lindelof. which I think is a high level of reserve option, even with Maguire having those question marks over him. Twanzebe could potentially still be about. You've got Tedam Mengi, who could potentially come in, although I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a late loan move. And somehow, some way, Phil Jones is still here. He's like that Wolf of Wall Street meme, isn't he? He's not fucking leaving. Phil Jones is not leaving. So that's what we have at backup now. If you get an injury to Martinez or Varane, and Maguire comes back in, you've got the same back four again, or the same two centre-backs as we did last season as has let us down. Maybe that could be an issue. And letting Eric Bailly go, look, he's not always fit, and that's an issue in itself, but letting him go on a loan, I think that's a waste of time, and I probably would have kept him, to be totally honest with you. Look, you have to think of the player, and the player has to play regularly, but I would have been playing him regularly, more regularly than Harry Maguire, and he gives you backup, he gives you quality backup. Phil Jones isn't really backup. So at right back and centre half, you could possibly argue that if we get injuries, we have got an issue there. And Diogo Dalot isn't guaranteed first choice material at this moment. So in the long run, they could become issues. And they were positions that we had to sort out this season. We brought in Lisandro Martinez. So centre back, I'm not going to complain too much. But at right back, maybe we should have done a little bit of business. Right, then we move to that midfield. Now, my first choice midfield would be Casemiro. Let's say we're playing at home against the team that we expect to attack against. I'm going Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes. If we're playing another team, maybe I'll put in Fred instead of Eriksen. But let's say we're playing at Old Trafford against, I don't know, Aston Villa or something. I'm going to go with Casemiro, Bruno, and Eriksen in that team. And I think that's a quality midfield three. You can see why the manager wanted Frankie de Jong and a midfielder like that, because then you play Casemiro, de Jong, and Bruno or Eriksen, and you've got an all-round, quality midfield. We're still hoping Fred can find his form, because if Fred can find his form, I think he's a great partner for Casemiro. But there's too many question marks over him and McTominay, and we kind of needed to get rid of that. So I do feel like we needed another midfielder in there. Letting Hannibal Mabry go out on loan is an interesting one, and James Garner as well being sold to Everton, which is massively, massively disappointing. So you look at that, and maybe, if we get an injury to Casemiro, we've got an issue in there because you're relying upon McTominay and Fred again. Now, this could be the season of Zidane Iqbal, Charlie Savage. Those guys could get an opportunity to impress. Maino as well has been coming through in the first team and impressing. So, maybe those guys come in and they do well and they make a name for themselves. But you can't rely upon younger players. And that's what we'll be doing if we get an injury, or we'll be relying on players that have let us down before. So the midfield area, we're still looking for that one extra, aren't we? Casemiro, fantastic signing. I'm excited to see him in a United shirt. Although the approach was a little bit scattergun, ultimately we got in a world-class midfielder, and he'll give us a platform, and he'll also make the defence look a little bit better. Varane will look much more comfortable. Martinez, maybe even Maguire will look a little bit more comfortable with him in front of them. But I do think Casemiro was a great addition to that DM position. We are missing that all-round 8, though, because McTominay and Fred have shown they can't do it, and we've still got that gap there. So whilst we've done a bit of business in there, Casemiro, Eriksen, huge additions, we're still missing that one, which is always the case at United, isn't it? Huge opportunity for Zidane Iqbal, though. Could my guy come through, steal the show this season? He's sure to get a few games in the Europa League anyway. And that's going to be a big opportunity, especially when you look at some of the players that we've got, some of the teams that we've got in our Europa League group. The same could be said for Alejandro Garnacho. Huge opportunity for him. In terms of the backup for Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno, you are looking at Van der Beek. You're looking at Fred and Iqbal possibly as Eriksen's backups, Van der Beek as Bruno's backups if you want to do it positionally, McTominay as Casemiro's backup. Casemiro's backup's not great, but you'd argue that the squad options further forward aren't too bad. Then we come to that front three, and the first choice front three has to be Sancho, Martial, and Antony, in my opinion. I think Sancho's probably just ahead of Rashford at this moment in time. Martial seems to be our main number 9 when fit, unfortunately. You got that asterisk there. And Antony, when you're going to buy a player for 80-odd million pounds, I don't think you're going to be looking to put him on the bench. But the beauty for us is Rashford can play across that front three. will be rotating. Sometimes it'll be Sancho, Rashford, and Martial. Sometimes it'll be Anthony, Rashford, and Martial. Sometimes it'll be Anthony, Rashford, and Sancho. We can constantly rotate that front three and rotate the different options that we do have. Anthony plays on the right wing spot, though. So it looks like you're going to have Rashford and Sancho potentially competing for the left-hand side, which is interesting. But if you look at the backups to that, Sancho's backup, Rashford and Garnacho. Anthony's backup is Elanga. Martial's backup, as we speak, because I'm filming this video just before the window closes. As we speak, Cristiano Ronaldo is still a backup option for Martial, which sounds crazy for two reasons. One, how is Martial back here from loan against Sevilla, at Sevilla, and seemingly first choice ahead of Ronaldo? That's bizarre in itself. But Ronaldo being here, not wanting to be here, it's just annoying. And I can't lie, whilst it was leave us with a massive hole in the squad, I wouldn't mind seeing Ronaldo leave before this video goes out, as sad as that is. But yeah, that's our front three, I think. Sancho, Martial, Anthony. Sancho or Rashford. You got Rashford there on the left behind him. Garnacho as well as an option. Ronaldo still as an option. And Anthony Elanga on the other side. I wouldn't have minded seeing Anthony Elanga go out on loan, but he obviously hasn't done that. So you go through that team, and you do have 2 players for every spot. You've also got some talented academy players coming through, knocking at the door, the likes of Zidane Iqbal, the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, the likes of Charlie Savage. You could add into the mix as well, Kobe Mainoo. There's a few players coming through. There's a few players that we've got out on loan as well. I'm disappointed with that James Garner deal. I'm not going to lie, especially once it became clear. Now, hopefully, I had to redo this video because Frankie de Jong signed before deadline day. But once it became clear we didn't get Frankie de Jong, we should have, done something in terms of giving James Garner an opportunity. That hasn't happened. But you look at the squad and the holes that you'd say, the key holes that we've got, right back, midfield, and in those forward positions. We've got gaps there. And it makes you think Ralph Rangnick was right, because we signed 6 players and he said we'd need 8, 9, or 10. And he was absolutely bang on. And then you get to the fact that some of these players in this squad, there's question marks over them. Maguire might not be here next season. Dalot, what's going to happen with Diogo Dalot? Is he going to prove his worth? We probably need a brand new goalkeeper at some point soon. What's going to happen with Luke Shaw? The likes of McTominay, if they're not getting first team football, which I don't think they should be at Man United week in, week out, then he'll probably look for a move eventually, maybe. So you're looking around and you're thinking, Ten Hag will figure out more players that need to leave. And over the next couple of windows, we'll see some more chopping and changing. But the transfer window for me, when you look at the 6 players that we brought in, I'd rate every single signing as a good one. But we just didn't get enough done. So it wasn't the quality of the transfer business that I wasn't happy with. I'm delighted with that. It was the quantity. We needed to bring more players in. And we haven't done that. So the squad is still missing in various positions, and that could present opportunities to the younger players, and that's what Manchester United's all about, and that's what Erik ten Hag has shown he's all about. I am positive for this season, though. I'd give our squad report maybe like a C+, maybe, especially after that transfer window, but there's still a bit more we can do. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Is it the same 11 you've got, your strongest 11? And what do you think of the squad as well? And are there any youngsters that I maybe didn't talk about today that you think could be added to this squad? Let us know in the comments below. Keep it locked. Until next time, I've been AdamMcKola. I'm out of here.